I want to talk about how we write recursive equations. Now, let me just start with just explaining what a recursive equation is. A recursive equation is one where we are simply finding a pattern and then saying, how do we get from one term to the next term using our pattern? So it's not a typical like y equals or something like that. And I'll explain, it's very notational here, and it's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. But let's start by just identifying the pattern here. Now, I have a previous video on how to identify arithmetic and geometric sequences. I can link that here at the end. But an arithmetic is a common addition or subtraction. A geometric is a common multiplication or division. I always check arithmetic first. So you see this first thing, I'm adding 4. Let's see if that's consistent. Let's see if that keeps going. It does. You see I'm just adding 4 every time. So this is an arithmetic sequence, and the pattern is that I am adding 4. Okay, easy enough. Now we need to write an equation. This is where sometimes students get tripped up. To write a recursive equation, we first need to establish where did it start. And I would say, okay, and most often you'll see textbooks use the letter U. So not like a y equals, but U. And then they say a starting value. They use a little subscript of a 0, meaning this is the first value. This is where we start. Well, this pattern started at 2. Okay, that was our first term in this pattern. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to write, this is the confusing part sometimes, is we're going to say, to get to the next term, and we use an n. This is very general. We're saying, okay, for any term I want, how I get it is I take the one right before it. Okay, now let me just pause here for a second and explain the subscript. This is saying for any term n, any term in my infinite pattern of numbers, I just go to the one right before it, and I am adding 4. And that is my recursive equation. Now, some textbooks sometimes will change these little subscripts a little bit. They'll say, I want to write u sub 1 is 2, meaning first term, and then they'll write something like, to get the next term, I take the one before it and add 4. Both of these are acceptable answers. They both say exactly the same thing. You know, to get the next term, I use the term I'm on and I add 4. This is saying to get my term, I use the one right before it. So again, this is like a counter. So think about if I continued this pattern. Let's even make a little like number system above it. Let's say this is term 0, 1, 2, like this. To get the third term, let's say here, the third term, I have to go to the one before it, the second term, the one right before it, and add 4. So to get the third term, I go to the previous one and I add 4. Okay, let's do another one. So down here, I always start by just saying, well, the common addition is 6. You see that right away does not hold. So then to get that common ratio, that multiplier, I often will just do, you know, the second term divided by the first term to see what it is. And of course, 9 divided by 3 is 3. That's I'm going to abbreviate my common ratio. So this is, and it holds. It's always good to check with another term to say, well, if I did 27 divided by 9, yep, that's also 3. So I've established it's going to work. So this is geometric, and my pattern is to multiply by 3. So again, we'd start by saying, well, what does this pattern start at? Well, it starts at 3, right here, the first term. And to get the nth term, I take the one right before it, and I multiplied by 3. Sometimes I'm going to write this below it. Sometimes you'll see this written this way, kind of the, you know, maybe looking more like a slope or something where we put the 3 out front, like we're going to multiply that previous term by 3. But again, you could just write it this way. So again, a recursive equation uses this kind of weird notation, but it's actually a pretty nice way to just establish our pattern. And just get in the habit of saying, okay, I mean, I almost write this right away every time. I just write, where did it start? U sub n equals U sub n minus 1, and then I put my pattern. Where did it start? U sub n equals U n minus 1, and then write your pattern. And get in the habit of that notation, and you will be fine. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help. I have videos on algebra, geometry, calculus, and statistics. And drop a comment if you have an idea for a topic I haven't covered.